Good evening. Welcome. Please take your seats. Thank you for being present here this evening. My name is Teodora Tompea. I'm a DG24 journalist, and I will be your host tonight at this opening event for the forum that is organized here tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. And it is an important event for our country and the region. I will briefly introduce you to the 9th edition of the Black Sea and Balkan Security Forum, an event organized by New Strategy Center, the most important think tank on security and foreign relations. And it is a partnership with the Ministry of Defense and Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So, as I was telling you, this is the launching of a book pledging for a free and open Black Sea and an introductory event for the forum that is happening tomorrow. This book reunites essays signed by exceptional authors from the USA, UK, Germany, France, the Netherlands, Ukraine, Greece, Georgia, Bulgaria, the Republic of Moldova, Kazakhstan, and Romania. We will talk about dangers and opportunities, about the most important speakers invited here tonight. Now, I would like to tell you a few words about those persons that brought their contribution to this book. This book is coordinated by George SCUTARU, Director General, New Strategy Center, and KAUSH ARHA, Non-Resident Senior Fellow, Scowcroft Center for Strategy and Security, Atlantic Council. Applauds for our event. This project follows the important support given by OMV Petrom, the company that has the greatest exploitation project in southeastern Europe. And as of 2027, Romania will become the largest gas producer in the EU due to them. Now I want to invite on the stage our first speaker, Vladimir Karuza, the famous Russian dissident that will be invited at DG24 tonight as well. He will be Cosmin Preripchanu's guest, so we are honored to be the television that has him as our guest. I would like to invite KAUSH ARHA on stage as well. KAUSH ARHA.
I want to talk a little bit about the importance of this book and why did you want to write this book. Please, come here. Applause for KAUSH ARHA. The stage is yours.
All right, well, good evening, and thanks for the come here command. That was nice. Anyway, I want to thank George and to OMV for this opportunity. I think one could start, and everybody knows here that perhaps Ukraine has been the most significant security event of 21st century for Europe and probably for NATO. And there's a lot of talk on it, and there's a lot of talk on it that talks about Ukraine's territorial integrity and talking about the rules-based order and how important that is. There is relatively little and less talk about the regional ramifications of this conflict, particularly in the Black Sea. It's as important, one can argue, of greater importance, but does not get as much attention, as much sort of gravity as it demands, particularly in America and other capitals. This effort and this book, which is timely and somewhat expedited to make it in time, is to address that deficiency. in some ways, in an important way. And I think when you talk about it, a free and open Black Sea is the right construct. And if we look at it of what a free and open Black Sea would amount to, and I'll come back to it, it's a term that was first coined by Prime Minister Abe of Japan. In an address he gave it to Japanese, and then he gave an address to the Indian Parliament in which he talked about the Indian Ocean, the Pacific Ocean becoming a free and open region. He used a very important term, free and open, which lends itself to several interpretations. You could have free societies, we can have free markets. You can have open societies, you can have open markets, and you can have any combination of the above. So it's a little bit like passages of the Bible. It leads to a lot of people interpreting how it is, as long as you buy into the idea of free and open. There are two nations that don't like things free and open, Russia and China in particular. So anybody who's on the other side of it is pretty good. In this context, if you're going to talk about a free and open Black Sea, the great responsibility for ensuring that lies on the littoral states, states which are around the Black Sea. They have to take the lead, they have to communicate the import of the region, and they have to communicate their commitments to back it up of how important it is. So this particular book brings together, I think, these different perceptions, both on the importance of the region, on how it starts. I think a good sort of essay from General Hodges. He's been in this job for a while from our perspective, from the U.S. perspective. He brings a important sort of global perspective of why Black Sea is important. It follows up with really good essays by people around it, Moldova in particular. Whoever wrote that, I think that was an outstanding essay from Moldova. I think the Ukrainian essay, certainly Bulgarian and Romanian from George. I think the good point from Turkey. But then you have an important perspective regionally, all the way from UK. There are two essays from UK, Germany. There are, I think, important part from Italy, from important part from Kazakhstan and Greece. So it gives you both the literal perceptions on Black Sea and the regional import of it. That's what this particular book brings to bear. If you go through it, and they're short, and I think they're useful, if you go through them, there's, I think, some elements, some important lessons that sort of rise to the top. One important part is that Black Sea is the connector between Central Asia, Caucasus, and Europe. It is the heart of the Central Asia, Caucasus, Europe economic corridor. Central Asia and Caucasus, if it ain't Black Sea, they're kind of hemmed in by sort of unfriendly neighbors, whether it be the Russia, whether it be China, whether it be Afghanistan, Pakistan, whether it be Iran. So the way to get out to Western and free markets, free and open society, is through Caspian, Trans-Caspian, Caucasus, and Black Sea. I don't have to say enough about it. You guys know their oil pipelines began it. Now you got electric cables. You've got other stuff that travels between the two. If the Black Sea is not free and open, that cuts. So if you cede Crimea, you cede Eurasia. There ain't no two doubts about it. It ain't no gray area. It's as black and white as that. That's an importance of the Black Sea. The second important part is Europe is turning towards energy resilience and energy independence. America is turning to become the energy superpower. That's one of the avowed goals of President Trump. Black Sea can make that happen. Black Sea has remarkable energy resources, natural gas, not only for in the Romanian offshore EEZ, with its Bulgarian, Turkey just keeps finding bigger gas points, and on Ukrainian side. So if you can, I mean, just Romania by itself will produce enough to become the largest natural gas producer by 2027, thanks to the sponsors and other people involved. Just imagine the ability to then optimize these resources. And they are done with American joint ventures and American sort of partnership. So you can see a growing economic footprint and interest of the United States in it, not only with natural gas cooperation with Romania, but also the recent, and I think a very useful and good agreement between the United States and Ukraine to put in a sort of an infrastructure mineral development fund, which not only will work at mineral development in a very even-handed manner, contrary to all the nonsense that was said before it, but also look at developing the natural gas fields and also of the nuclear potential within Ukraine. So it's an important part for energy security, energy resilience of Europe, and for an energy investment opportunity for America. The third part is kind of obvious. It is essential for Ukraine reconstruction and Ukraine sovereignty. If you don't have a free and open Black Sea, if Russia is allowed to take Crimea and then march merry way towards Odessa and to Transnistria, that really dampens sovereignty and prosperity and the reconstruction of Ukraine. It's kind of a somewhat obvious point, but needs to be made. The fourth point is kind of important. You know, if you look at Black Sea, and all of us tend to sort of live in our times, or where our times are. And most of our generation has grown up when the Black Sea was free and open. I mean, I think the fall of the Soviet Empire and coming into and freedom of the Caucasus and all the other East European countries made Black Sea kind of available. American investment and American sort of can-do was really important to develop the natural resources, the oil and gas, and put in all the pipelines that allowed then Central Asia, Caucasus, and this part of it to be integrated in the energy system and developed. So we have taken for granted that this is a free and open Black Sea. But if you go before Soviet times, and you got nice essays here by our English friends and others, it's been basically a contested ocean, largely between Turkey and Russia, a lot to do with this peninsula called Crimea. So if you let it go back to that, then we are again walking ourselves into another generational conflict between Turkey and Russia for the control of the Black Sea and of Crimea, because the way Crimea goes, Black Sea goes. So having Ukraine Crimea, it's really important because it does not tip the scale one way or the other between Russia and Turkey. If it goes either way, you have other sort of ramifications that fall from it. There are many other issues related to this, but this is an important book, brings these issues forward. When in the United States, and I'm from Cody, Wyoming, you come to Cody, Wyoming, and you said, you know, we got to go to Ukraine, we got to fight for the territorial integrity of the Ukraine, rules-based order. Yeah, you know, my folks will not sort of, they won't know what the heck to make of it. They'll rather go, probably they'll trust it if they trust the speaker who gives them that message. But they themselves won't have a full understanding of what that really means, because the territorial integrity. If you look at the regional ramifications and say, hey, if I let Black Sea fall under a historical trap, I'm cutting off one of the largest land masses of the world, Central Asia and Caucasus. I am truly endangering not only the Black Sea, but the sort of stability of the Eastern Mediterranean. That's a big deal. We're talking now, we said, hey, that's a big chunk of land. We ought to pay more attention to this. This affects American interest and both economic and security. Now, President Trump, just I think yesterday, not only congratulated on the free and fair and outstanding election in Romania, where Romanians made their decision for their future without sort of undue opinions and other things from here and there. He also nominated a new ambassador. And when he nominated a new ambassador, he said, I look forward to deepening the partnership between the United States and Romania, particularly on the military front. One of those things is Black Sea. When we talk about deepening our partnership with Romania, it's Black Sea. Romania is the anchor for a free and open Black Sea. It is the most important NATO country, is the most important EU country in the region. It's a country that has also taken, thanks to George and the Romanian leadership, an intellectual leadership in sort of articulating why a free and open Black Sea is important. And perhaps it'll take that forward with this essay and going forward, George, in convening and I think building out a commitment among the littoral state for a compact or a pledge for a free and open Black Sea. A free and open Black Sea committed and acted upon by the littoral states, backed by United States, by NATO, by EU, by Central Asia, by Turkey, is the bright future that all of us ought to work towards. This little book, this little pamphlet, this expedited little thing, it's one small step towards that end. And it'll be great to hear from other authors what they think and from George. But I've had a great pleasure and honor to work on it. And thanks again for the opportunity to do so, George. Thank you.
Thank you so much, KAUSH ARHA. Yes, you can sit here and you can stay in the audience. And now, exactly, we can hear from other authors exactly what they think about this book and about Black Sea. And I would like to invite here on the stage one of the connoisseurs of the region and one of the most important person for Romania and for Black Sea and for military security for Europe, and not only for Europe. It is General Ben Hodges, former commander of US Army in Europe and member of the International Consultative Board of the New Strategy Center. General Ben Hodges, please come here on the stage. And it's a pleasure for us to have you here.
That was kind of weak applause.
In the end.
Are you going to ask questions, or?
If you want, I can ask questions. I have a lot of questions because, you know, I'm a journalist and I have a lot of curiosities for you about Black Sea.
I think that's more interesting.
If I am allowed, I can ask a lot of questions. if George give us more time.
Don't ask George. You are allowed.
Okay. First of all, I want to understand, and especially for the ones who are not familiar with this region, why it's so important, Black Sea, and why Black Sea matter? For not only for Romania, but for the whole region, for Europe, and I mean for the whole world security. I think it's very important to understand that it's not only for Romania.
Right. So when you look at the map of the Black Sea, and I wish we had a map of the entire region, you see immediately, of course, there are 3 NATO countries on the Black Sea. So if for no other reason, for the United States and the rest of NATO, we have 3 allies that are there. So we have a responsibility for collective security. We have troops that are, based there, working there. We cooperate with the air forces and naval forces of each of these NATO countries. So from a NATO perspective alone, obviously the Black Sea is critical because of the security of those 3 NATO allies. That's number one. I heard the Bulgarian ambassador to the United States a few years ago. We were working on a project when I was at SIPA, and he said, nothing that happens in the Black Sea stays in the Black Sea. It's the opposite of Las Vegas. So everything that happens in the Black Sea eventually affects much of the rest of the world. The Balkans, obviously. What happens on the Black Sea behind Romania in the Balkans will be affected. The Caucasus, clearly. I had breakfast with the J5 of the Turkish General Staff a few years ago when I was still in uniform. And I showed up there in Ankara and I said, sir, how's it going? And he said, Ben, I tell you what, I've got Russia to the north, Iran, Iraq, Syria to the south, the Caucasus to the east, and the Balkans to the west. It's a hell of a neighborhood. And I kind of laughed, and then I thought, oh shit, the Black Sea is in the middle of his map. It's not down in the bottom right-hand corner like it is on most other maps. It's in the middle. And so here's a NATO ally that probably is one of the largest, most powerful NATO allies on the Black Sea region, and of course it controls the straits. So Black Sea has important security ramifications for us.
And this moment, geopolitical is a very difficult context, especially for this region. I don't know, do we need a proper strategy for Black Sea? And I mean, this strategy should be, especially for Romania, especially for this region, or how does this strategy should look like?
Well, first of all, we should think about the Black Sea not as a body of water, but as a region that affects the Middle East, it affects the Caucasus. When I met the president of Georgia the first time in 2013, I asked him a very touristy kind of question. I said, Mr. President, what kind of country is Georgia? How would you describe your country? And it was like he had been waiting all day for that question. He said, General, we are an East European country that is the portal between Europe and Eurasia. I thought, it completely changed how I thought about the region. He didn't see himself as, some mountainous country on the edge of the Black Sea. They were the gateway between Europe and Eurasia. And of course, people in Romania know that. And the port of Constanta would be the biggest port in Europe if the necessary investments were made in Georgia that would allow large ships to go back and forth so that the Chinese rail cars could go across the Caspian, go to Georgia, then move across the Black Sea. The economic potential is there, but you have to do investments. And of course, that's the last thing the Russians want, are European and American companies investing into this east-west economic corridor.
And I have one more question. The security of Black Sea depends on NATO, the cohesion of the alliance, and it's important now to understand if we need to adapt this strategy inside of NATO, inside of the alliance. What do you think? With this administration now in US, and this administration, of course, in Romania.
Well, I'm happy to hear my friend KAUSH say that President Trump has recently discovered the Black Sea. This is encouraging. Look, we've talked about Ukraine as if it was an island for the last few years, instead of looking at it as part of the Black Sea region. That's why we have, part of the reason there's such a terrible war going on there now is because the Russians have wanted to dominate it the way they have for centuries. And if we're serious about the security of the Black Sea region, which means freedom of navigation, that means then the Russian Black Sea fleet has to be prevented from ever messing with ships, commercial ships or otherwise from anywhere else. That means that international law has to be enforced. When President Poroshenko declared that Sevastopol and other ports of Ukraine that had been seized by the Russians, he said they're all closed. The rest of the world should have respected that. No ship that goes into any of these Crimean ports, for example, should ever be insured. Nobody should receive anything that comes from there. There's a lot of tools that we have that could enforce security and the law. I think of course, Romania, Bulgaria, and Turkey, 3 NATO navies. Turkey does a good job, I think, enforcing the Montreux Convention. It's inconvenient, but we, the United States, we, the alliance, I think, are much better off having Turkey enforce, using their authority to prevent Russia from bringing more ships up into the Black Sea, even if that restricts our ability to move U.S. Navy or Royal Navy up into the Black Sea. At the end of the day, for Romania specifically, but Bulgaria also, a lot more anti-ship missile capabilities like we've seen Ukraine using. You don't have to have a big fleet. I think Romania was a little bit slow to the party to start developing their maritime unmanned systems, naval drones, but now they're catching up. NATO has a very good program to encourage that sort of development. So there's a lot of things that can be done other than buying and building big ships that require a lot of overhead. Finally, I would say, look, I lived in Izmir for 2 years. I love Turkey. I love our Turkish allies. They are spring-loaded to be offended. And I may have offended 2 or 3 of them in here now, but easily offended, but extremely important. And so we've got to do a better job of regaining the confidence of our Turkish allies, because I'm pretty sure right now they don't believe that we would actually come to their defense if they were attacked. And so I think building that relationship may be the most important thing we could do for Black Sea security.
Thank you so much, General Ben Hodges. Please applause. Big applause. It was an honor to talk with you. Among the authors is British General Sir James Everard, former Deputy Supreme Allied Commander, Allied Forces Europe, who was practically number 2 in NATO's military hierarchy between 2017 to 2020. Sir Everard is also the chairman of the International Consultative Board of the New Strategy Center. Sir James Everard, please come here on the stage. It is our pleasure to be with us here tonight.
I do have a few prepared comments. I think Ben must have missed the brief. I don't
So
know,
if you need me to talk with you, it's okay. If not, I can sit here.
No, I'm going to be pretty brief. I think in my draft I included 9 bullet points up front, so you didn't need to read my essay, but I see very cleverly that George has removed those, meaning that you actually have to read it. Point 1, I think we've all got, and it comes out very clearly in the book, is, of course, the Black Sea region really matters, and I really do congratulate the New Strategy Centre of doing more than anybody to educate your allies and friends on that singular fact. But we worry about the Black Sea, and my hope was that at the end of my essay you would worry less, you would be better educated, because we talk about the need for a strategy, but we have a NATO strategy for the Euro-Atlantic area with specific focus on the Black Sea region. And so my essay focuses and explains what it is we have chosen to do as an alliance to establish strategic primacy in the Black Sea region, not just by containing Russia, but by opening up significant opportunities across, the dime paradigm that undercut Russian influence and reach. And I suggest in the essay that success here in the Black Sea region will demonstrate the viability of NATO's overall system of collective defence, and in time create the conditions for a free and open Black Sea, with, and again it comes out in the book, I think, with huge economic benefits, not just for Bulgaria, Romania, Turkey, but for all allies, and even Russia, when Russia chooses to rejoin the world. I point out in the essay that none of this is easy, but I run through the framework that the alliance has adopted to get us to where we are. A very good strategic concept, a good NATO military strategy, a good force employment strategy underpinned with a family of plans, again, with a specific focus on the Black Sea region. And I think, delivered in full, and we're on the way to delivering them. We're not yet complete. These will not only contain Russian force projection options in the Black Sea, but also counter any geographic domain or readiness advantage that Russia thinks it may have. And for me, trust in the viability of these plans is the key issue. It is absolutely what nations want to see. They want to see that these plans work. And so we've got to unambiguously demonstrate that alliance peacetime activities and alliance military operations in conflict do provide the security wrap that we say they do. Strategic, operational, tactical level, right troops, right place, right time. And again, I don't allude to it directly in the essay, but this does rely on all allies to play their part, to deliver on the commitments that they have made to the alliance. And Romania has been doing an extremely good job, but I think, like all allies, they have further to go. So that's what my pitch is about. I hope you find it interesting, and I'm here for a day tomorrow. If you have any questions, because you'll read it tonight, I know, come back and ask me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And now I will switch to Romanian, so you can put your headset. Fără a fi...
So, with that, although not an author in this book, with an important military contribution and good contribution in the geopolitical, geostrategic context, attributions to maintain security in the region. Now I want to invite General Gheorghiță Vlad, Chief of Staff for Romania. A round of applause for him as well. Thank you for being tonight with us here. I want to ask you a general question, a useful one to understand the context. How do you appreciate the security of this region? Because we shouldn't look at the Black Sea as just a sea. We can look at it as a challenge for the region and for Romania.
I would make the presentation in English, so...
No problem. My first impression was to have very well prepared a speech to be delivered in this evening. But after the speech of our friend, General Hodges and General Everalds, I changed my mind and I'll try to deliver to you some insights about security situation in Black Sea. Since the war started in Ukraine, we have discovered 122 drifting mines in Black Sea. With support of our partners, and here I am referring to Bulgaria, and with Turkey, we succeeded to sign a demining initiative. We started a demining operation in Black Sea, and we succeeded to eliminate all of these drifting mines. We are very concerned about freedom of navigation in Black Sea. Russia used to notify a lot of restricted zone, danger for navigation in the first part of the war. It's not the case today. After the Moskva submarine event, they move their fleet far away in proximity of Azov Sea and Caspian Sea. But after the war in Ukraine, I'm convinced that Russia will try to do in the same manner in our area of responsibility. Another big challenge is about the drones. We had 42 events. Russia violates our airspace. 21 drones fell on Romanian territory, and our people in Danube Delta was threatened every night during these 3 years of war in Ukraine. Also, we have to discuss about our harbors. Our harbors are very, very crowded because, as you know, around 70% of Ukrainian grain export are passing our harbors. And this is a reason that all of them are very, very busy. We are very, very busy. But overall, we stood by Ukraine since the very first moment, and will continue to support Ukraine because, in our opinion, Romania believes that the security in Europe, the security in eastern flank of NATO, the security in Europe will start with the peace in Ukraine. And we are militating for ceasefire. We are militating for common effort for all our allies and partners to be with Ukraine. Coalition of the willing that France and Great Britain are trying today to coagulate all the necessary capabilities and forces to help Ukraine. In my opinion, it's a very good vehicle, first of all, for ceasing the fire, and after that to have peace in this part of the world. Once again, thank you so much. I don't want to discuss more about the book. I will try to finish because I started in this morning. I had just...
We will talk tomorrow about the book.
Yeah, okay.
And your recommendation.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Once
thank
again,
you so much, General Gheorghiță Blag. It's our pleasure to have you here. Now I'd like to invite here on the stage Yulia Sirko, member of the Ukrainian Parliament, first Deputy Chair of the Transportation Committee, former Deputy Minister of Economy. Please applause Yulia Sirko. And it's very important for all of us to understand Ukrainian perspective when we talk about, challenges, vulnerabilities, because there are a lot of challenges for you, not only for this region, but especially for Ukraine. Please explain us a little bit how it is for Ukraine now after 3 years, more than 3 years of war.
First of all, I will start with thank you for the Romanian nation and for the other nations in the Black Sea, and not only in the Black Sea, because actually in the first year of a full-scale invasion in 2022, thanks to Romania, we actually sustained economically, and we export all our grains, mostly of our grains, through the Constanța, Romanian port. And it shows how important to have neighbors and allies in the Black Sea, because if you have problems and you have war in your territory, your neighbors can help you. And that's why we have to develop and develop Black Sea altogether. We cannot sustain by ourselves. And also in 2022, it was very important that the Russians, they block Black Sea, they block all our ports before they start full-scale invasion. Why? Because they realized that 60% of our export and 70% of our foreign currency coming into our budget coming through the maritime logistics, through the Black Sea. So they tried economic blackmailing and economic blockade before they started full-scale invasion on land. So that's the importance for Ukraine, Black Sea importance for Ukraine. So it's a very important, and economically and security, because most of the strikes to the civilian cities, to our homes, to our families coming from the Black Sea, from Russian vessels in the Black Sea or drones in Crimea. That's why for us, Black Sea, free of the warships and Russian vessels, and also Crimea, it's not only about the land, it's about security of our civilian population. And that's why we are putting all our efforts to make Black Sea secure and to do freedom of navigation, to export our, to sustain our economic abilities, because we need to run the state. For that we need money, and a lot of export going, most of the export going through our ports. We have 18 ports, 6 of them operating, and actually 13 is under occupation or not operating. But in general, we have a lot of ports, and maritime logistics is the cheapest and most important for our economy. And I would say that for this 4 years, we acquired a lot of skills how to fight with the Russian fleet. We destroyed 40% of Russian fleet without any fleet in Ukraine. We don't have fleet. It was actually the conventional, it was modern technology against conventional maritime war. That's bringing us to the idea that we in the Black Sea, and probably not only in the Black Sea, should have centers of excellence. We can, as a country who acquired a lot of skills with underwater water drones, which we're using not only to hit warships, Russian warships, but also we are even hit planes, airplanes, jets, fighter jets, by sea drones. That's why I think the joint missions are a center of excellence of drones, which can help to share our knowledge with our neighbor in the Black Sea and beyond Black Sea will be very, very important, because for us, all of us in the Black Sea, security and trade is two most important things in the Black Sea, as well as the protection of cables and pipes underwater, because we have a lot in the Black Sea, and probably will have a lot more, because AI era coming. We need more cables, underwater cables. And what you can see in other regions, in other world ocean areas, that China and Russia are actively cutting underwater cables and disconnecting European countries from other countries, trying to win also, so to say, digital or AI war. Because if you don't have these cables, if you don't have connections with other countries, you are losing your capability, and this is kind of a hybrid war as well. So to protect underwater cables is also very important. For that, I think joint missions with Black Sea nations or beyond the Black Sea, also very important.
Do you think, and this is the last question, do you think that, I don't know, Europe and maybe US needs another strategy about security of the Black Sea? When we talk about this security of the Black Sea, it is necessary to have another approach now for you, for Ukraine?
I think, first of all, I think everybody recognizes that Black Sea is very important. US has a bill adopted before, I don't remember, in 2022, they have a bill on the Black Sea Act, actually. What US needed is to develop implementation strategy for this Black Sea Act and to harmonize it with the Black Sea actors, because we all have our own strategies. In Ukraine, we have Black Sea maritime strategy, our own adopted by law, and we are moving in this direction. We are moving on a direction of a mosquito floats or development of sea drones, etc., etc., etc. But probably we need to harmonize our strategies in the Black Sea, not to build different fragmented elements in the security of the Black Sea. That's why it's very important to have it also on a legislation and implementation level, to harmonize all this strategy and act mutually, because sea is a common sea. We cannot protect our part of the territory. We need to protect the whole Black Sea and not allow Russia and China to use Black Sea as a training center. What they are now doing, they are testing different kind of strategies in the Black Sea, but they can replicate this strategy in other regions, in the Pacific, in the Baltics, in other areas, and they are doing it very successfully. Let's be honest. We are catching up, but we need to speed up.
Thank you so much, Yulia Sirko. Applause for Yulia Sirko. We also have here tonight with us James Rogers, a British security expert and co-founder of the Council on Geostrategy. Please applause for James Rogers. Good evening. Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you for inviting me, and it's very good to contribute to this.
It's not going to be a usual interview, but I have a few questions for you. For example, for UK or London, how does London see this thing about Black Sea and the security of the Black Sea, and why it's important also for you?
That's a really good question. So I would say in response,
much closer to
I would
the
say in
microphone.
response that the UK is a quintessential sea power state. It depends on the sea for its security and its well-being. It doesn't want to see countries such as Russia, but others in history dominating the sea, because that means that they can cut Britain's maritime communication lines and therefore starve us into submission. So any country that seeks to do that, seeks to dominate the surrounding seas around Europe, Britain will tend to turn against.
Also, if there are going to be some intentions to limit the military presence in Europe, in Ukraine, or here in region, do you think it's a good or a bad idea? Of course, I know the answer, but it's very important to explain why do we need this military presence?
You mean the potential reassurance?
Potential, yeah,
Yes.
exactly, exactly.
So I think the UK's perspective has been that if some kind of peace agreement or some kind of truce is agreed between the Ukrainians, if that is what they want, and Russia, assuming that that is also what they want, then someone needs to come in behind and provide the Ukrainian state with support. And that involves, firstly, hardening Ukraine, providing more resources, turning it into almost a garrison state like South Korea, like Israel, but it also will require security guarantees coming in from the major European powers, of which Britain is one, France is the other, but there's also Germany and Poland and others, to help to provide those guarantees and deter future Russian aggression. Now, Russia fears, I think, nuclear powers. It fears Russia. It fears France. It fears Britain. It fears the United States. So it needs those three countries to be involved in this endeavor.
And also about the book, because I want to talk about the book, your, I don't know, most important part, or for the audience, for example, if they didn't manage to read the book so far, why it's important to have it and to read it and to understand exactly what's explaining in it.
So I think this book is really, really important, and I love the idea of a free and open Black Sea. We need free and open Indo-Pacific, a free and open Euro-Atlantic, and I think the actual reason why this matters is in this quote at the back by a British captain called Edmund Spencer, and he explains very explicitly here what would happen if Russia dominates the Black Sea, the consequences that it would have, not only for the Mediterranean, but also for Europe more generally, and beyond that, of course, countries such as the UK.
Thank you so much. If you want to say something more, it's my pleasure. If not, thank you so much for being here on the stage with us, and thank you for being with us at this event. I now would like to invite here on the stage Dutch General Hans Damen, member of the International Consultative Council of the New Strategy Center. Applause, please, please, applause for... because I don't want anyone to feel... The stage is yours, please, General.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ben. I wrote a chapter in the book with my daughter, and that was an enlightening experience. We found out who is the real academic in the family, and it's not me. As you would have loved to have been here tonight, but she's in the United States at the moment, and she was afraid she wouldn't get back in. Although, KAUSH, after your reassuring us that President Trump knows where the Black Sea is, and if he's read the book, then she probably would be welcome at the White House. Most speakers already mentioned the economic and logistic value of the Black Sea. So basically, it's always about economics. I mean, when Erasmus wrote his theory on a free and open sea, it was during the golden age in the Netherlands, and of course we profited most of it, of that free trade. But the world also profits of free trade, and that's why important that all the trade routes are open, and well, basically the good route at this moment is the middle route, and we should develop it. We should develop it further. Which brings me to my as my second remark, and probably my last one, unless you have a question. My hobby, military mobility. I've spoken here a couple of times about military mobility. Most of you have already heard me mention it before. I think we should look further than military mobility, and because it's not about something of the military. It needs a whole of government approach. Everybody needs to step in and help promote that military mobility. But it goes much further. On April 4, Ukraine attacked Samara region, factory of fiberglass, Russian fiberglass. And that's important because you can defend yourself against drones, but it's much smarter to attack the supply chain. And I'm convinced that the Russians know that also. If a substation, electric substation goes up in flames near Heathrow Airport, is that an accident? or did something else happen? If the whole of Spain and Portugal don't have electricity for 2 days, is that an accident, or did something else happen? And I've had some interesting discussions with some journalists in the Netherlands who told me, yeah, Hans, you can't prove that. Yeah, I can't prove that, but that's the essence of hybrid warfare, that you're not able to prove that the green guys that are attacking Crimea were Russians. So let's all work together, not only military, but also industry, government, society, to make sure that not only the seas remain free and open, but also our free world remains free and open.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Black Sea means connectivity, and this means also to have a free and open Black Sea. Now I would like to invite here on the stage Antonia Coliboșanu, Expert Senior Associate, New Strategy Center. Thank you. Please applause for Antonia Coliboșanu. I remain in English because I saw that everyone prefers this way, so I think if it is okay for you, the stage is yours.
Of course. Do you have any questions, or should I
If you want me to have any questions, it's my pleasure. If not, as you wish.
Go with questions, because I do not know what exactly I should say more about economics and connectivity.
Let's talk a little bit. Let's talk a bit about.
So maybe you
yes, let's talk a little bit about energetic projects that involves Black Sea, because it's very important. Some of the speakers said before, but I think it's important to reaffirm.
Yes, indeed. Well, the Black Sea is a platform. It is connectivity that is physical. It is connectivity that is not necessarily physical. And in that regard, it is also connectivity that is within the question mark. And that's regarding the energy projects that you are referring to. Turkey has just said, actually, that a new reserve was found in the Black Sea shore. So basically, that's an indicator that we all want to develop energy possibilities. Obviously, we do not know what we may, because Russia is next door, and we wonder what is going to happen next with regards to the war in Ukraine. And we also know that before 2014, Russia has started already the hybrid warfare that pretty much prohibited projects to be developed in the Black Sea economic zones. So that is an element of war that could go on at many other levels. And I'm actually touching upon that in my essay in the book, since we are talking about the book after all. And basically, I am asking the broader question with regards to whether this war will continue and how, whether we will have a pause considering the negotiations, talks, and hopes.
And what's your perspective here?
And how that will affect our Black Sea countries on the NATO side, Romania in particular, because we do have a project underway right now, Neptune Deep, that we hope to support the European states' security, energy security, at least in the south and the southeast. So the question is, how are we going to be able to do that with whatever happens in Ukraine? And if we are going to be able to actually secure some of that energy into the energy network of Europe, what will that be regarded from Russia, considering that we are basically coming up as a competitor to Russia, as a direct competitor? So the need for security is stretching upon the connectivity that is not necessarily seen, that is very much uncertain and volatile right now, and the question marks.
And as I asked you before, what's your perspective here when we talk about these challenges, I don't know, vulnerable points, spots?
Well, basically, what we have right now is a world with not a necessarily clear vision, a world that is destructuring. So on the geo-economic side of things, not geopolitical side of things, we have a world without an anchor in the sense of an economic system. That means for the geopolitical side of things that anything that we knew was connectivity, all the corridors that we knew were functional are pretty much reshaped. So with regards to what happens next and what's my perspective, I wish I knew, after Mr. Trump finds out more about the Black Sea, because he already knows where the Black Sea is, I wish I knew what are the next steps with regards to the destructuring process of the global economy, because that is the key issue. And that is going to shape the conflict in Ukraine, and that is going to shape the global economic system, because that touches upon China, which, by the way, is becoming to be an actor in the Black Sea as well. And that touches upon the relationship between Europe and Russia and between Europe and China. And that also touches upon a very important aspect of the Black Sea being a geopolitical node, connecting the Northern Sea to the Middle Eastern flank, if you will, which is the most important geoeconomic and geopolitical node of the world since the 20th century, when we started using the oil. So basically, we started using the oil for industrializing ourselves and modernizing ourselves at the scale that we haven't done so. And that is basically the key aspect that will define. So what's next on the agenda with regards to the global economy? And that's coming from Washington in part. That's also coming from the reaction of China and Russia to what is being done in Washington. So I'm very much happy that President Trump is talking about the Black Sea these days.
Antonia Coliboșanu, mulțumesc. Thank you.
Cu mare plăcere.
Also, to hear an insightful perspective from our neighbor country, I invite Mr. Iordan Bozilov, President of the Sofia Security Forum and a member of the International Consultative Board of the New Strategy Center, here on the stage. Please applause, because I think someone is going to be upset tonight if they are not going to receive a big round.
Thank you very much. I promise to be brief. I'll highlight just 2 points from my essay. First, Black Sea matters. Black Sea matters not only for littoral countries, but also for other countries, other regions and organizations. And I'm happy that more and more countries have closer look now at Black Sea, what's happened there. Many countries already approved strategies, own strategies on the Black Sea. And next week, hopefully, we'll have first European Union Black Sea strategy, which will focus on security, development, and addressing all other issues. So this was first point. Second point actually is related to the potential of the Black Sea. Unfortunately, this potential is threatened by risks and threats. In my essay, I particularly focused on Russian activities, and I argued that Russian activities actually threaten the free and open Black Sea. In 2023, Russia blocked for 8 months big part of Bulgarian exclusive economic zone under the pretext of military drills. So we were not able to use this part of economic zone, and it also prevented OMV Petrom of their activity there. I won't stay more on the stage. You'll see me in 3 more panels during this conference. Thank you, George. You know how to treat friends, but great thanks to George and to New Strategy Center, because this conference and the book, it's clear investment in security of the region. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much. We will meet again tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. And now we have here with us Anwar Buranbayev, a reputed Kazakh expert who has come to Romania to advocate the strategic importance of his country for connectivity between Asia and Europe. Please applause for Mr. Buranbayev.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Thank you all. It's my pleasure to be here today. I want to draw your attention to the country which is pretty far from Black Sea, to Kazakhstan as a part of the Central Asia. However, Black Sea play a vital role for us. Why? 3 main determinants for us: economy, geography, and history. Unfortunately, geography is a destiny, as Napoleon Bonaparte said. Why history? Because for a very long time, Central Asia was a theater where Sin Empire and Russian Empire fight over the control, for the control over the region. Finally, Russian Empire win, so all our trade routes right now heavily depends on Russia territory. Why economy? Simple, because almost 60% of our oil export pass through the Novorossiysk port, and it is a very big risk for us from both sides, because war between Ukraine and Russia raised a tremendous risk for our main oil pipeline, Caspian Pipeline Consortium. Even recently, United States announced that they will not extend sanctions against the CPC and Tengiz Chevron, but we understand that it already was. Ukrainian attack the infrastructure of CPC. It was a very heavy economic damage for us. From other point of view, Russia blackmail us because of a very big part of CPC go through the Russian territory. So this is still Black Sea is very, very important for us. We try to balance it to invest in the middle corridor, but you know that in 2006, it was a very big project, Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan. The Kazakhstan should be a part of this project, but again, economy. Why? Because the transportation price through the CPC was twice better than Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan. So my essay was about this, and on Friday, I think we'll discuss on the panel. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Burambayev. And now, if I am allowed, George SCUTARU, I will invite you here on the stage in English, because I think it's better for all of us. I think the heart and the mind of this event, and this event is very important when we talk about strategy, when we talk about security, when we talk about Black Sea, Romania, and the region. We think at New Strategy Center, and this event is very important before
Thank you very much.
Conference.
Thank you very much, Theodora. Thank you very much to all of you. Indeed, we try to explain as better you can, together with our colleagues, why the Black Sea matters. And we've promoted and will continue to promote the strategic importance of the Black Sea here in Europe, and especially in the United States. And I'm very grateful to Atlantic Council, to CIPA, to Heritage Foundation, with all this support, because, for instance, next event dedicated to the Black Sea will be in October with the Heritage support, also trying to explain, especially to the new administration, why the Black Sea matters. But in my humble opinion, I think if you want to have a free and open Black Sea, it's necessary to have a fair peace for Ukraine. Otherwise, we'll have another Budapest Memorandum, and we'll have, unfortunately, another Munich Agreement. And if you consider that we can give, slice by slice, another piece of territory to Putin, his appetite will arise. His appetite to occupy new territories. And after Crimea, it's Donbass. And after Donbass, it's Novorossiya. And after Novorossiya, it's Moldova. And this represents our worst-case scenario, to see that Russia is on our borders, on the Danube Mouth, and even worse, on the Prut River. And in this case, Romania could have, Theodora, unfortunately, 850 kilometers direct border with Russia. And how we can avoid? It's necessary, first of all, to maintain the strategic interests of our allies to the Black Sea. First of all, United States. Second, it's necessary to bring more Europe in the Black Sea France, Germany, United Kingdom. And by the way, in 19th century, United Kingdom and France fought for the freedom of navigation in the Black Sea. They fought against Russians. And by the way, at the time was the most peaceful period for the Black Sea when Russia was defeated. And if you want to have a free and open Black Sea, it's necessary to not see a Russian victory, because Russia was open to discuss with the West, was open for internal reforms only after the defeat in the war. You have Crimean War, you have Russian-Japanese War in 1905, and you have the withdrawal of Soviet troops from Afghanistan in 1989. If you want to have a free and open Black Sea, it's necessary to have a strong Ukraine. And it's in the interest of Romania to have a democratic Ukraine, to have a stable Ukraine, and to have a good neighbor as Ukraine. Thank you very much to all of you. I invited all of you because tomorrow we'll have our forum, Black Sea and Balkans Security Forum, the 9th edition. And of course, because Theodora is moderator, I pass the floor to Theodora. But also because you'll have the last speaker is not me, the last speaker is one of the most important friend of the Black Sea man, and this is James. Okay. But thank you very much to all of you, especially because you are our friends. We support Romania, and I'm so happy to see that the elected president of Romania, it's a person who is in favor to support further Ukraine, who is in favor to pledge for a free and open Black Sea, for a good relation with the United States, a good relation with Europe, because Romania is part of Europe, and I think with the new president, with the new government, we'll have plenty of possibilities also to describe the importance of the Black Sea and to pledge for a free and open Black Sea. Thank you very much.
I'm glad that you're optimistic. Thank you. And Black Sea Man is James Carafano, and please join me here on the stage. And I want to say that New Strategy Center is going to organize a debate in Washington in October. And thank you so much, James Carafano, for making this event possible, and also the one in Washington. Please.
You have to read this book. It is thrilling. It is better than Game of Thrones. Okay, there's no dragons, but there's like a really big, ugly bear. So, Libby, I just want to say one thing that I don't think is widely appreciated, which is why the Black Sea is important to the United States. And no offense to my NATO friends, but it's way bigger than NATO. Let me tell you why. The reality is, in the world in which we live, no power on earth can create a hard sphere of influence. The United States can't do that. We're the biggest, most powerful country in the world. China can't do it. The Russians certainly can't do it. Nobody else can do it. We're not going to see a Cold War in the sense that we're going to see a world divided, owned by one side and the other. It's just not possible. Nobody has the physical power and energy to do that. We're not going to see a resurgence of Russian imperial empires. It's not going to happen. So the question is, and you posed it really well, is what does this look like? And what does it mean for the United States? Well, the answer is certainly not to be an isolationist. Anybody that thinks Trump is an isolationist ought to talk to the Houthis. They may have a different view of that. He's certainly not an imperialist, because last time I checked, the flags over Greenland and Panama and Canada were still not ours. So what is the realistic, feasible, suitable alternative? And it was an idea that was pioneered by the late Prime Minister Abe when he talked about a free and open Indo-Pacific. And we have this proliferation of talk about corridors of connecting free and open spaces. And it is in the US interests that all these corridors are successful and proliferate. Because what they do is they create a real alternative. Redundant supply chain, energy security, new opportunities for people, opportunities for countries which for decades, and in some cases centuries, have not an opportunity to have a say over their own sovereignty and their own people. This is a real, practical, and achievable alternative. And so the United States ought to be, and I think is rapidly becoming, the world's biggest cheerleader for that. And so why do we get so excited about even the discussion of a free and open Black Sea? And this book, because this book is the single best explanation of what a free and open Black Sea really is and why it is really important. Because if you look at all the world-changing projects that, if they are united, have an opportunity to transform the globe, this is literally how we will conduct global affairs after globalization. The Black Sea is rooted in all of them. It is absolutely an essential component of the idea of a 3 Seas corridor, of linking everything from the high north to the Mediterranean. It is an indispensable link to link 3 Seas to the middle corridor, to bring Central Asia and the Caucasus into the global trading environment. And the southern corridor, which will go through the Middle East, is going to be the most dynamic and important corridor, because not only is it going to link countries like India, the world's fastest growing economy, and powerhouses like Japan and Korea, and a very technically competent Taiwan, link them to the West. It is also going to be probably the most secure and robust corridor to go through the Mediterranean into the Black Sea and then into the middle corridor. And for many of us who really care about Africa and the world's fastest growing population on Earth, which just needs 3 things: jobs, jobs, and jobs. Growing the economy, creating the secure environment, and the infrastructure that Africa needs. Africa sits astride the Mediterranean and the southern corridor. So there's unbelievable opportunity for West Africa, North, and East Africa to really benefit from this connectivity. If the Black Sea is free and open, that is the linchpin, that is the Lego piece that pulls it all together. So it's an essential part of this project. And it is essentially why the United States is and will be the greatest proponent of that, even if there are no dragons in this story. Thanks.
Thank you, James Carafano. And thank you, all of you, for being with us tonight. Tomorrow is going to start Black Sea and Balkans Security Forum. There are going to be 2 days with 200 speakers, moderators here in Bucharest. Bucharest is going to be the most important city, not only from Romania, but from the whole region when we talk about security, military presence, and what's going to be for the future of the Europe and the whole world. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. Cocktail is waiting for you outside. Please stay with us at the networking session.